Welcome to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome in to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. Look for us at avgffpod.com. Go there, click the buttons, go to the socials and the places, the YouTube and the Facebook and Apple and Spotify and just about anywhere you can find us. We're on just about every podcast distributor. You can also listen directly on the website. That's through Podbeam, who distributes our podcast. There's also a button there that'll take you to our Podbeam homepage that has, I think, the last 10 episodes. So if you want to listen direct from there, you can do that as well. But wherever you choose to listen, we would love for a follow or a subscribe or whatever. Flick the bean, like as Baker likes to say. So wherever you go, let us know you were there. You like that? I just came up with that. Mm-hmm. I should just be a guy who makes up slogans. But
what was it? Mr. D's do like Hallmark card
sayings
or whatever.
Like you're drinking Colt 45. What could be Colt 45? Shooting a good time right down your gullet.
It's something weird about Colt 45 and gullet in the same sentence.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta. There's a concept there. I just gotta brainstorm that.
You're reaching. Work on it.
Yeah.
Work on it.
There's potential there.
Sometimes it's really high up on the shelf. You just got to reach all the way up there.
And then sometimes it's low hanging fruit, and you just got to pluck it. All right. Well, here we go. Getting ready for week 8.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. We're getting closer. We're ticking closer and closer. You realize that after this week, we'll only have 6 weeks until the playoffs start.
A regular season.
So technically, we just finished the halfway point of our fantasy season.
I'm so discouraged, man. We had some losses last night too, like some major losses to teams.
Yes.
The 2 games last night.
So let's go ahead and break down into that.
Nailed that shit. I was like, I'm over here like holding it up. I'm like, just fade it back. You wanted to fade. Nailed it. Yes.
That's called a manual fade.
Man, I like that.
All right. So let's see. Debo's out of the hospital. That's good news. We'll have to hear more on what's going on with him. But the big news that happened last night that you alluded to, Chris Godwin goes down. It was pretty. You could tell by the players' reactions it wasn't a good thing. They wouldn't even show the replay. You can tell if you watch what was shown that his foot is facing a direction it's not supposed to, but he dislocated his ankle.
Thank God that's all it was. That looked bad. Like it could have been like severe.
It's still going to require surgery, most likely this rest of the season. The reason they say most likely is if somehow Tampa makes it in, they're probably going to make the playoffs, but they make it to like the Super Bowl. It's kind of like the same thing with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
If they get that far, there's a chance that they could come back,
potentially play the game or whatever.
Also, I mean, the Tampa got hit hard. Mike Evans went down with a hammy. Yeah. He did get his 100th touchdown, so congrats to him. I've jinxed him. If you listened to yesterday's podcast, I want to go ahead and just shoot an apology out there. Mike Evans was my smash. From last week, I was go ahead and I was congratulating myself for that. After he got a touchdown, by halftime he almost had 10 points. So I was like, hey, it's a done deal. It's going to happen. And then not long after that, he went down with what they're calling a moderate hamstring strain. So they say it's going to be minimum of 3 weeks. So I just want to say I'm sorry. I shouldn't have go ahead and claimed it. You never claim a win. You never claim a win till
just barely too soon.
It's done.
Yeah.
But
that's another thing for you. You never claim a win till it's done.
Yeah, I didn't come up with that. I think that's been around for a minute, but I'll take it. I'll own it.
I think you made that up.
Yeah. Never claim a poop till you're done wiping. Never claim a poop till you flush. There it is.
I claim it before I flush so everybody can see it. And
never claim a poop finished until you flush it. Yeah. A poop's only done when you flush. All right, well, we're going to derail.
Just an average, I don't know what we're talking about, podcast.
Poop podcast. All right.
Poop podcast. Yeah.
Alliteration's funny. Anyway, Mike Evans goes down. Like I said, 3 games. So that's 2 big receivers out. That definitely changes the waivers. Obviously, if we'd have known this was happening, the waivers would have been a completely different.
There'd be a lot of other names on there, yeah.
As I said before, the reason we do waivers before the Monday night game is because we don't do our shows in the morning like a lot of other podcast shows do. So by the time you get this show, it's Tuesday night. Waivers run on Wednesday. It does no good. When we started this, we would do waivers on the Tuesday show, and I'm like, well, it does no good for anybody to get waivers unless you happen to listen, at night. And most people aren't. There most people listen in the mornings when they're driving or whatever.
Exactly.
And so we started doing it on Monday. So that's just the nature of the beast. If you guys would help us get like millions of listeners, we could quit our day jobs, just do podcasts for a living, and then we would switch to a morning routine. We would drop these things early in the morning.
Exactly.
And, live the good life. But things are, they are. We can't do that unless we all start working night crew somewhere. We can find jobs where we work the night shift, working on the night moves.
We could be burglars.
Yeah. And then we can go burgle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd love to burgle.
Dude,
one time in my life, I want to burgle.
I would burgle so hard.
I'm telling you
But
what.
I would only burgle like rich people. I'm not burgling people.
Yeah, no, I'm not burgling people like me.
No. There's definitely a socioeconomic group that's getting burgled
Oh, they're
so
getting,
hard.
And burgle so hard was the name of my 4th sex tape. There was a lot of other words in parentheses. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, no, it was definitely burgle so hard.
Oh man, there was some hardcore burgling going on in that thing too. It was burgle-tastic.
It was. It definitely was.
All right. Let's see. Aiden O'Connell went to the IR, so the Jorts King is going to be starting, which also explains why they went out and got the Trash Panda signing of last week of hold on, I got one for you before you hit it. Okay. But that's why they went and got Desmond Ridder. But we'll go ahead and throw the Trash Panda signing of today out. Bailey Zappi to Cleveland.
Who?
Yeah.
Come on.
Did you hit it? Is it connected?
I'm turned down.
No, you're turned up. Turned down for what?
I must not be connected then.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Who the hell cares? There, we got it. Nailed it. Hey, you know what I'm doing here.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe I muted. No, that's Terrell's mic. I muted Terrell. Hit it again. Maybe.
I don't know. I just disconnected and reconnected. So let's see if it.
Yeah. I muted Terrell's mic. But anyway.
Oh my God! Who the hell cares?
I don't know. It sounds the same as earlier. I don't know. Maybe it was working.
I can't tell the difference. But yeah, Zappi goes to Cleveland once again because Deshaun's to the IR. Now you got DTR, who's also on the news. His X-rays were negative. Still not sure if he's going to miss any time, but obviously the, Jameis the Predator 2 is going to be starting if DTR's down. So keep an eye on that. Let's see. Derek Carr had a throwing session, went good, so they're trying to work him back. There's a chance he comes back this week. Jameson Williams, this came on through yesterday after the podcast. Jameson Williams suspended 2 games for PEDs. So that sucks. The kid can't get out of his own way with the gambling things that he got in trouble for, and now this. So, he's a very talented young man, but just keeps screwing up at every turn. Allegedly, I should say that because I don't know.
Yeah, like the gambling thing was.
Well, I mean, the gambling was the gambling, but the PEDs. I will say this: there have been instances where these guys took a medication for a cold or something like that. Now, or they said they did. I don't know, but there can be instances where things that are on the list. So I don't know exactly what substance he pops for, but whatever. Unless it gets overturned, he's under a 2-game suspension. So got to deal with that. Puka's been cleared to practice. Cooper Kupp's been cleared to practice. They've also put it out there that they would be willing to eat a bunch of his contract for a 2nd-round pick to move him. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to move him. They're trying to get back some draft capital that they've lost making deals. They kind of rolled everything, kind of like what my fantasy team is in Bling, where they kept pushing their draft picks down the road and to get a Super Bowl, and it worked.
Yeah.
But they now they're ending up in a situation where they don't have a whole lot going on for the future when it comes to draft capital.
Exactly.
Let's see. Alvin Kamara got a 2-year extension, $24.5 million.
Man, he deserves it, man. He is like
He's their entire offense.
He really is, especially with the snake out there, Rattler or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Rattlesnake.
He just doesn't look
We don't have a snake sound over there.
It would be nice, but I don't think we do. Well, I got closest thing I got is
this is the closest thing you have over there to a snake.
Closest thing I have to a snake is going to be
surprise, mother.
I guess because snakes surprise you.
I guess they just jump out of nowhere. It's slippery, snaky snakes.
All right, let's see. That's pretty much it for the news. We'll get a whole lot more info on a lot of these questionables and guys coming off IRs after tomorrow's practice reports. So from there, let's roll into the Monday night breakdown. I haven't mastered the art of finding stuff on my phone while I'm still trying to hit buttons on the thing, but I've got it now. So it was a night of 2 games on each side of the spectrum. One game was defensive and plotting and boring and no real offense, some flashes here and there. Kyler had a long run. But the Arizona, the Cardinals and Chargers game was just like, bleh. And it might have been an okay game, but on the other screen, you had the Ravens and the Buccaneers. And for anybody that cares, I just want to put it out there that our podcast, as far as I know, was calling the Ravens offense long before everybody else was.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we said it's
week two. We said on this podcast that's going to be an exceedingly dangerous offense once they get things sorted out.
I think it was even before then. I think it's when Derrick Henry signed with the Ravens. We were all or nothing. We were all on board.
Well, yeah, but I think a lot of people are that. But I'm just saying I guess the point I'm making is at the beginning of the season,
a lot of people gave up. Yeah.
They looked like regurgitated cat's ass. Their O-line was trash. They couldn't complete passes. They weren't getting the ball to Mark Andrews. The receivers weren't looking good. Rashad Bateman was non-existent. But, I believe it was the second week, one of the podcasts during that week, we had a discussion about how, they don't look good, but they've got stuff they got to figure out. But once they get it figured out, this offense is going to be untouchable. And, man, did they get it figured out last night.
Exactly.
They got it figured out so hard. They burgled. They burgled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their face, though.
That was a sneaky good game. Tampa started making a little bit of a run back, and then Derrick Henry said, "No thanks, no."
So Lamar was 17 for 22, 281 yards, 5 touchdowns, 9 carries, 52 yards. He was a beast. He won people weeks. He won me weeks.
Yes,
he absolutely dominated. Baker was right there with him though, 31 for 45, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks. He ran the ball 5 times for 22 yards, but he also had an amazing fantasy performance. And then you mentioned Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 169 yards.
Yeah, that dude.
1 reception for a touchdown. I mean, he
burgled. That dude
he burgled people's souls.
Yeah, no doubt.
He burgled their souls hard.
He's so good.
He is the burglar.
Yes.
He is the soul burglar. He steals your soul. Man, did you see that thing that Terrell sent that shows his face? Well, the 2 times I'm telling you right now,
80-yard runs
I don't care if I'm a defender and I see Derrick Henry full speed and I see that face coming at me, I'm going to fall on the ground and act like I do it like a half tackle, the business decision tackle. I'm going to do that one so hard. Justice Hill even had a decent game because he caught a touchdown. He was 3 for 3 for 44 yards and a tud. The Rachaad White It didn't look good on the ground. Classic Rashad.
That's Rashad all day.
But he
baby.
had 6 targets. You want to take a guess at how many of those 6 targets he caught?
My wild and uneducated guess is going to say he caught all 6.
Actually, he caught 7.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised in any
He's
way.
so good at catching footballs. He caught one more catch.
I tell you what, man.
I don't look. That is his superpower. He needs to just be. He needs to be James White. That's what he needs to be. Just a pure receiving running back.
What I think is going to happen now is they're going to be like, all right, look, we lost Godwin, we lost Mike Evans, so let's bring Bucky Irvin in as running back
and Rashad
and
goes
put
to wide
Rashad out on the flat or run him out the slot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this he's got
all
hands.
he does is catch footballs.
He does. He has got hands all day. So
and 6 for 6, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he did that. And then Bucky had a good one. I have to eat it. That was my Daniels don't was Bucky Irvin. But it was really I didn't think Rashad was starting, so I would have been like even more wrong.
Either one.
So this is literally.
And a little honesty too with it. Sean Tucker didn't have too bad of a game for being the 3rd string back.
One eternity later.
I deserved every one of those sad trobones for that prediction. That was the worst, I think, of all the don'ts I've ever had. I think that was the worst one because I got woodshedded.
All the running backs put up.
I mean, Sean
points.
Tucker only had 5 carries for 29 yards. He only had a 9-yard reception.
But he's the 3rd string back, is what I'm saying. How many other teams
he would
actually
have
have
scored
their
a billion
3rd string
points.
back? If
they needed that, yeah.
What Baker Mayfield ran 5 carries for 22 yards.
Yeah.
He averaged 4 yards a carry.
And the thing is Baltimore up until this game has been
shutting it down,
shutting the run game down.
That's true.
And I mean, if you look at the run game, I mean, it was 9 carries for 23 yards for Bucky, but he did get a touchdown. Was where they just kept smashing up the middle on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, it was like 3 carries right in a row on that. Yeah,
and then Rashad White had 10 for 40.
That's his best average of the year.
And then Sean Tucker in garbage time had 5 for 29. So when they were playing softer defense, so technically it was the pass catching that really
boosted them all.
Yes.
Yeah,
but either way, it's all encompassing fantasy points for running backs, and I was garbage on that prediction. So one more. Perfect. Yeah. All right, moving on after my embarrassment with that, Rashad Bateman. This guy needs to be on roster. All right, I don't care if you need to trade for him, you need to get him. He is a big play. He's going to have down weeks. Don't get me wrong, but in this offense right now is the highest flying, greatest show on turf offenses going in the NFL right now. It's what KC was in its heyday. Their defense isn't good, and their offense is absolutely clicking on all levels. And Rashad Bateman is their high flying dude down the field.
Yeah.
And last night he had 4 targets, 4 receptions, 121 yards and a touchdown. And Zay Flowers, he wasn't involved much. He had one reception for 1 target for 11 yards. He wasn't, no other receiver was really involved. I don't think that's prescriptive for the future. I just think it was the game script of the night. I think there were, you got to go down Mark Andrews. It's one of those where it's going to either be a Mark Andrews or a Zay Flowers night probably moving forward.
Well,
because they both work the same parts of the
too,
field. Yeah, but they also work the same parts of the field.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews had 4 catches, 41 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was absolutely dominating out there. So you just gotta, you're still going to play Zay Flowers and you're still going to have good weeks. But Rashad Bateman is such a different receiver in this receiving core that no one's going to take targets away from him except the defenses that he plays against.
Yeah.
Because he's going to take the top off. He's the big play dude. If he plays against a defense that can contain him, then he's going to have a down week.
He's going to have a bad week.
But if he plays against if they play against defenses that can't, then he's going to potentially have a massive week like he just did. Chris Godwin was doing great, like he'd been doing. This dude's season was on fire. It sucks that he went down. Evans was on track to have a really good game as well before I jinxed him and he went down. So it's going to be really interesting to sort out this receiving core. I'm going to tell you right now, Sterling Shepard's probably going to be the number one target coming out of this. He's a solid route running, like safety, net. He knows Baker very well. He's the only veteran that's really left on the roster in the receiving core right now. You got Trey Parker, who's a second-year guy, or Palmer. I'm sorry.
Palmer. Yeah.
And you got McMillan, who's a rookie. So it's these guys. I'm almost certain they're going to go out and do something. They may deal for Cooper Kupp. Who knows what they do? This team is not going to just sit on the laurels, I don't think.
Yeah.
They're going to go out and probably make a deal to try to get somebody or pull somebody off of a practice squad who's decent. You might see somebody like, I'm not saying it's going to be MVS, but somebody like an MVS type guy.
MVS just signed too.
He did, but I'm just saying somebody of that kind of ilk of receiver show up, somebody that they're going to get if they can't get a bigger name. But we'll see. But also another beneficiary is going to be Cade Otton, who had a great night last night. But I'll tell you this, there was a stint we were watching, and it was like he caught 4 balls on one drive, and every time he caught the ball, he got absolutely freight trained by a defender.
Yes.
And every time he got hit, it was a hit that I thought would take everyone out of the game, and he would just get up. And I'm like,
just walk it off. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, there's that dude. I don't know. He's invincible.
He's built different.
He's built like Superman apparently, because he got hit so hard on 2 of those that I was convinced that he was gonna be dead. Well, he just gets right back up.
I went to urgent care this morning because I was hurting from watching him.
Yeah, I was gonna go, but when I walked into the waiting room, it was packed, and I'm like, "Why are all these people here?" And there's like, because they watched.
Yeah, we saw Cade Otton
get hit those 4 times, and we were all also hurting from it. So I was like, "Well, I'll just have to shake it off." But yeah, but I think Cade Otton's going to be a big beneficiary of it moving forward as well. So there's that game. We'll run through the lesser game real quick.
I just got to bring up, I did have a Baker's bottom in this game.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm
Vidal,
sorry. And
he didn't do much. No. I mean, he got you like 2.4 points, which I mean
in this game. Yeah, the game we're about to talk about. Sorry.
Like half. He was my Baker's bottom last week.
Right.
And I couldn't toast a roast. So I mean, he didn't do anything.
Well, last week he had a decent week, didn't he?
Yeah, but I picked him for this week, coming off of that week, being a little more involved. And he wasn't as more involved as I had hoped he would be.
Well, it's funny. I was looking at stats to try to figure out who my don'ts are. In the last 3 weeks, Arizona has shut running backs down. Whereas at the beginning of the season, they were absolutely getting dumpster rolled.
Oh yeah.
And now they're shutting it down. So they've made some sort of adjustment in the run game to shut the run down, which is also a reason why they're able to win these sloppy games. And so, because even if you look at J.K. Dobbins, he had 14 carries for 40 yards. Definitely not a good thing. He had 3 receptions for 26, so he was virtually shut down as well. Vidal had 3 for 10, like you said. But James Conner did what James Conner does. He just goes out there. He's a workhorse. 19 carries, 101 yards, 2 catches for 51, and just had a great week. No other running back really did anything or had to do anything. Kyler Murray had a good fantasy week. 14 for 26, 145 yards and a touchdown, but he did throw a pick. But he had 6 carries for 64 yards, and he had that long touchdown run. Yeah. So that's always good, and that's what you get when you play a guy like Kyler. But Herbert, I went back and watched some of his throws today, and this dude made some damn good throws.
Yes.
He has no help in the receiving corps.
There's nothing there to throw to.
No,
yeah, exactly.
They took away all the talent, all the star talent at receiver. I mean, Ladd McConkey is okay, but he's a rookie.
Yep.
Quentin Johnson is not that guy.
Nope.
And so
neither is Josh Palmer. I mean,
Josh Palmer.
They're nothing. No. I mean,
they're solid guys to play behind a Keenan Allen or a Mike Williams.
Yeah, they're
which
placeholders.
Maybe they make a deal to go get Mike Williams back from the Jets.
It'd be nice to see them go get Cooper Kupp, though. I was thinking about that earlier. I think that they could make a run at Kupp and actually be super beneficial. But I mean, I don't know what
Kupp working with McConkey, that could really be something special too, to kind of teach him how to because I mean they kind of work in the same ways at receiver, and they really have a lot of the same talents. I mean, McConkey's a lot more explosive than Kupp. He definitely has more speed, But
the Chargers are 3-3, and this is where it's going to have to happen. This is where they're going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, and clearly their defense is good. I mean, they held Arizona to 17. They're not getting blown out by anybody, but their offense isn't clicking. But, you know, it's funny. We talked about coming into the season that, you know, Greg Roman's, they don't throw the ball more than 25 times. Well, 2 games in a row. Now, they've thrown the ball, I think, almost 40. They threw almost 40 times this time.
Yep, 34 the week before.
And 34 the week before. So they're throwing the ball. They're actually passing the ball, but nobody's catching the shit.
He had 349 yards this last game and 0 touchdowns. And that's the red zone, I think, is what's killing them the most. They got nobody consistent that can actually catch the ball.
They have no 50-50 guy.
Exactly.
Quentin Johnson's supposed to be that guy, and he isn't. He flashed a little bit earlier in the season, but he's regressed back to his non-catching ways. So
I'm telling you, they need to get Brendan Rice up there and start using him a little more.
So Palmer did have a decent fantasy week. So if you had to play him in a deep league, he was all right. He was 4 catches, 63 yards. Conkey was 5 for 46. Fehoko,
that's right.
He's at 3 for 45. And then I didn't realize Jalen Reagor was there, but he had 1 carry for -1 and caught 1 ball for 41 yards.
Oh, I remember that pass too. That was a big pass.
The Dortch was 1 catch for 5 yards, but it was a touchdown. So that if you were playing him, you were happy. Marvin Harrison, another bad week. This offense, the passing game with Kyler is just not clicking with wide receivers yet, so they got to get that worked out. But Harrison caught 3 of 6 targets for 21 yards, and that's really all of note to talk about. Disley was 8 for 11 for 81 yards, and the big thing is he was really the only receiving tight end in the game. They usually run him and Hayden Hurst, but Hayden Hurst got hurt, and so it was the Disley show. Mm-hmm. And this is what potentially can be happening, especially when you have wide receivers who are not being consistent. So, you can kind of look towards the tight ends moving forward. Just take your shot if Hurst is healthy, which one it's going to be. But if either one of them's out, you can probably play the other one and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Trey McBride was 5 for 51. He's really the number 1 receiver currently for this team. There's nobody else that's consistent enough to.
He's so talented though. Like he boxes the ball out almost every time. It's crazy to watch his style at tight end, and then you compare like Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce will get it running.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is more of is like a wide receiver type receiver.
Exactly.
McBride reminds me a lot of what's his face? He used to play for New Orleans and play for Seattle. He was Jimmy Graham.
Oh, Jimmy. Yeah.
Jimmy Graham's very similar. It's kind of a basketball style where you're boxing the guy out.
He literally boxes it out, comes up, gets the catch, and it's just a first down. It's a first. You don't see a lot after the catch, but
they need to start utilizing him in the red zone.
Exactly.
More
get him out there at that. They'd be a lot better, I think. But it's. So, but I'm not a coach. I'm not a.
Yeah. What?
I'm not.
You're not an NFL coach?
I played one on TV once, but
you've been lying to me all these damn years.
The whole time.
Well, that's the only reason I brought you on the podcast. Because I thought you were a renowned NFL coach.
It's so crazy. Wait till you hear my Baker's Bottoms. You'll see exactly why I'm a coach. They'll be like, what?
All right. Well, from there, let's go ahead and roll into the key games for week 8. That's all I'm doing right there.
Yeah.
I get so tired of that cut. I got to get more cuts. More transitional music, I guess. Let's see. Let's start off with. Well, we can start with obviously the Thursday night game.
Thursday night game.
Yeah, that's where we usually start. Sorry,
this is going to be a good one.
The Vikings at the Rams. Of course, the Vikings are hot right now. They did lose last week to Green Bay, but it was on the last second long field goal by the not Green Bay. I keep wanting to say Green Bay, Detroit.
Yep.
By the last second long field goal by the Detroit kicker. And so, but they're still rolling pretty good. Darnold, I'm playing in this game. The Rams are a soft defense. It's a plus matchup. Stafford, I'm probably fading. If I got other options, he hasn't been good this season to begin with. And the Rams, Minnesota has a really good defense. They shut down a lot of way better. They shut down Stroud last week.
Yep.
But Aaron Jones, you're playing him. Kyron Williams, absolutely. And then I'm not touching any of the running backs.
Nope.
Both those guys are money. I should say the Vikings are 5-1 and the Rams are 2-4. So the Rams are they were kind of floundering last season and then pulled it together. So I don't know if they're going to try to do that.
Things can just turn around out of nowhere for some of these teams. Like it's crazy.
Well, getting cut back if they get
Puka
back too. You know, they're both off of IR, or not off of IR, but they're both practicing.
Yeah, I think Cup practiced in full today.
Yeah.
Puka was limited. So, I mean, it's still.
So they get these guys back, and a lot of things could change. So we'll just have to see how that goes. I mean, do we even need to? Yeah, you're playing Jefferson.
Yep.
I'm playing Addison. He's boom or bust, but when he booms, you know, he's going to catch a long touchdown.
Exactly.
And then Cup, yeah, if he's out there, you're playing him. Atwell's been pretty solid in the absence, but the problem is if they all come back, Atwell disappears. It's inevitable to happen.
It's crazy. Like, he seems like he's talented.
Well, the last 2
receiver.
games, he's had 10 targets and 9 targets, caught 6 in each game.
It's
50-something yards in each game. So, you know, he is a talented dude. He's down the field guy. He can take a top off of defense. He's really the only true speed they have on that team.
And when they don't use him when they're using him all over the place, like he's out there a lot more since they don't have Cup and they don't have Nakua.
Right.
It seems like he's more involved, but they just don't utilize him as much.
Exactly.
I guess. So it's.
Demarcus Robinson, like you said, you gotta hope that you get a good week, and you had one before the bye, but this week you didn't have a good one. So Whittington, the same thing. He's also been hurt and dealing with some stuff. So I'm just really trying to stay away from this receiving core outside of Cup if he plays, and maybe Tutu if one of the big if Cup or Puka don't play, I'd still play Tutu.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they're getting Hawkinson back. This week. I mean, depending on your tight end situation, if Hawkinson starts, you're probably rolling him out there.
Yeah.
Because it'll be his first week back off the injury, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, you're just hoping that he gets out there and gets right back into the rotation. And then Parkinson, you know, he looked like he was going to be something before the bye, and then last week he kind of floundered a little bit. Well, his whole offense did, but he only had 2 targets. So
freaking Stafford only threw the ball 23 times, and he's a 35-plus guy.
Yeah.
You know, for anybody to really get any kind of utilization, and so it's kind of difficult to read this last game. I don't know if it was Vegas that was good, or if it was just the Rams that were falling apart. You know?
Right. Let's see.
But I mean, against Minnesota, I'd probably still play Parkinson. I mean, if you've got Parkinson and you're running him out there. He's been pretty consistent against softer defenses, and Minnesota's a kind of a soft defense. It goes.
They're the number one fantasy defense right now.
Well, they're the number one fantasy, but I'm talking about like as far as tight ends go, and as far as like.
I'll tell you exactly what they are against tight ends. We have the tool. The last 3 games. Let's see. The last 3 games, Minnesota has been if you count, they gave up. Green Bay scored a lot. The Jets put up 12, and then Detroit only put up 5 against them. So they're a middle of the pack.
They're about the middle. Yeah.
San Francisco, like Kittle had a bunch of points off of them. Musgraves had that
was Kraft.
Tucker Kraft. Yeah, Tucker Kraft had a bunch off of them. So yeah, they haven't been like really good, but they will give up points, it seems. So but
I mean the Detroit game was kind of a running back game. It was Gibbs most and Montgomery, and then Amon-Ra had to play. Laporta had that 35-yard bomb or 35-yard catch, and then outside of that, they didn't even.
I think he only had like 2 targets.
One of the target, yeah. So,
all right, well, let's move on from there to let's talk about. There's a lot of like really good teams versus really bad teams this week.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's roll to that. Believe it or not, the Colts are 4-3 playing against the Texans. They just came off a tough loss themselves against Green Bay.
Who the hell the Colts played?
That's a good point.
I'm just thinking, like, as far as 4-3, they played Jacksonville. They played Tennessee.
Yeah.
They played. I don't know. They played Houston week 1. I don't know which weeks they won, but
I don't think they did not win against Houston.
And Chicago was probably before they picked their offense up off the floor, because that's only been here recently. So that's 3 of their 4 wins, I'm sure. So.
But they're 4-3 against the Texans, who are 5-2. Stroud's coming off that tough loss at Green Bay. Richardson didn't look good last week, but he got the dub. So he'll be his second week coming back from the injury. See if he can get it going. Hoping to get Jonathan Taylor back. We'll see. We'll know better tomorrow about the practice reports, because they really need him in that offense.
They really do. Yeah.
Yeah. You're running Joe Mixon out there. Joe Mixon right now is a RB1. He is absolutely eating everyone's lunch. You know, he's played 4 weeks this season, and he's been an RB2, an RB2, an RB4, and he was an RB36 in the game. He only played 47% of the snaps. I think he got hurt in that game.
Yeah, that was the game he got injured in.
Yeah. And so he has just been money when he's been out there.
Yes.
I don't know what he is, where he ranks in points per game, but I'm sure he ranks near the top. Because you can't really compare him in overall points when he's only played 4 games and everybody else has played 7 or 8. But, but yeah, those are the guys you're running out there. If Taylor doesn't start, I don't know. It just none of these running backs really stepped up. And Houston's they're not like a shutdown defense, but they're pretty damn good. And against subpar running backs, they can be a shutdown.
Yeah, and I mean it seems like Tyler Goodson gets more of the near goal line work. So I mean, I'd probably lean if you had to. I'd play more on Goodson.
Yeah,
Sermon's he's garbage. Yeah.
I don't want to play any wide receivers as if Anthony Richardson's at quarterback.
No, I don't either.
I don't want to play Pittman. I don't want to play Downs. Pierce is like your dart throw if you're looking for extreme upside and you want 2 long touchdowns. He had a bomb. I think he had 2 bombs. I know he had one thrown to him, but he obviously didn't catch it.
A little overthrown. Yeah. But Pittman's the consistency there, but it was still a mediocre week last week for him. I mean, it was still playable.
Last 2 weeks, he's had 5 targets. He's caught 3 in both. You know, he did get a touchdown 2 weeks ago, but this week that was with Flacco.
Yeah, that was with Flacco, and he's dealing with the back thing. He's only out there less snap percentage and all. But Downs is nearly non-existent when Anthony Richardson's out there.
No, his snap percentages are the same.
Oh,
yeah. I would think you would be right, but he's still out there.
Okay, so he's still
89% of the snaps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I did notice that Downs does not get targeted when Anthony Richardson's out there, but he does get targeted when Flacco's out there.
But since his back issue, I will say this, since his back issue, his targets have dropped. Yeah, he went from getting 9 or 8 targets a game to only getting 5.
So I think it might be a little more of a decoy on the routes or whatever to kind of draw coverage or whatever.
Right. Yeah, you're playing Diggs, Tank Dell. I mean, talk to me about Tank Dell. He's going to have a game at some point. That's the thing that scares me. He's getting opportunity. I still think he's coming back from the injury.
Yeah.
I still think, and he was shot in the offseason as well.
Yep.
And so I still think he's coming back from all of this, and he hasn't got back fully. But so it's like I want to put him in the lineup because if I'm going to keep taking all these freaking zeros, I don't want to be sitting there looking at him on my bench when he drops 30.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that irritates me is that, like, how long do I keep him in there before I just finally say, I'm done with you? And then I get Mark Andrews like I did last night when he got 2 touchdowns and he was on my bench almost everywhere.
Well, I mean,
I had got rid of him in my redraft leagues.
Well, 2 weeks ago, the first week without Nico against New England, who was a soft defense, he put up like 18 points. He had a decent week. He got the touchdown.
Right.
He got like 7 catches for 57 yards. But this last week, I didn't see the game, but I felt like he had all his targets were like prime.
I didn't.
One was in the end zone.
I saw 3 of the targets, and he should have caught them.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't know if it's like you said, he's still dealing with the injury and still coming off. But the game before, he caught 7 of 9. So I don't really know what it is.
He's working that short. He's working that short part of the field too, because he only averages like 8 or 9 yards per catch. So, you know, you got to hope that he gets it. But yeah, you're right. He had 4 targets. He's still playing over 70% of the snaps. So
he's out there. It's like you said, he's going to have a game, and this might be it. Indianapolis isn't the greatest defense. So
trash.
This could be the one where it's a
you're putting him
game.
out there against Colts. I should say that you're
definitely going to put him out there.
But it's like one of those. If you played him last week and he goosed you, you might be rage benching like I did with Mark Andrews.
We'll rage bench him next week when they play the Jets.
Yeah,
and right now just play him.
Just play him.
Be okay
this week. And if he screws you this week, then you could rage bench him because he's going to play the Jets.
They're playing against the Jets. We'll rage bench him then. Be like, I'm holding it all in for 1 week and then let it all out.
You're not playing any Colts tight ends unless you're just delusional or you're in a league where you get points for the least amount of stuff that the tight ends do. And then I feel like you can play Dalton Schultz with some pretty good confidence. He only had 2 targets last week, but I think that against the Colts, you could get lucky and get a touchdown out of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically it for that game, unless you got so much you want to throw in there.
I need Flacco to start because when Flacco was starting, Mo Alley Cox was something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they don't throw the ball nearly enough with Anthony Richardson. I mean, it's he just, and when he does throw, it's ugly. So,
all right, well, you got a divisional battle against 2 teams that are trying to fight for the top of the division. You got the Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kink coming off a bad week at quarterback and them taking a hard loss.
He got injured too in that game, though, didn't he? Like, get his face. I think he got his face rocked.
Oh yeah, he got his nose busted.
Yeah, he got his face
but
rocked.
He didn't miss any time. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
sometimes injuries can kind of hold people up a little bit.
Yeah, he got benched at the end of the game because they were getting clapped.
Yeah. But I didn't watch the game, so I didn't see when the injury occurred. If he went back and played with the injury, and
he went back. He went in there. He actually played with toilet paper shoved up his nose.
So sometimes that can kind of like hinder their performance.
Yeah,
and, they were already losing at that point, I believe. But it's still one of those things where maybe he could have pulled it back had he not been dealing with something. But their number was taken by Seattle, and they shut him down. Baker, he's been damn good this year. He's currently the quarterback 2 on the season behind Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so that means Baker's kind of a distant 2.
Exactly.
but you're playing Baker if you got him. He's been money for you all season. You're riding that. We'll talk more about Kink here when we get on down to the smashes. A little foreshadowing there, but Bijan, he's money. Algier, I think you can play in this game and feel pretty good about it. Rachaad White, we talked about him. If he gets the passing work, he's money, and you're going to play Bucky. Those are the 2. You can play 4 running backs in this game and feel like you're going to have a pretty decent.
And everybody's going to eat a little bit. Yeah.
Drake London, absolutely. Darnell Mooney, absolutely. Take your dart throw with McLeod. It's going to have to be one of those games where he throws the ball 40-something times for McLeod to be viable.
Yeah.
So just understand that. McMillan, I don't know what to do with this Tampa Bay wide receiver. Currently, they only have 3 listed. McMillan, Shepard, and Palmer. They're going to be pulling people up. And like I said, you're going to have different names brought in this week for depth, if nothing else. But, I would throw Sterling Shepard out there for sure. And then it's going to be a complete and utter dart throw with McMillan and Palmer. You could get goosed with both of them. It could just be Shepard and Otten and Rachaad White get all the pass work.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm definitely playing Rachaad White. I'm definitely playing Otten, and I'm definitely playing Shepard. And then after that, I'm just going to hope and pray with anybody else that I throw in my lineup. And then you're playing Kyle Pitts. He's been pretty damn solid this season. He's currently the tight end 6 on the year, which, that's crazy to even say that. We were all ready to write him off. He had a pretty rough first 4 weeks. Week 1 was okay. Then the next 3 were garbage. And then they've got him back involved in the offense. He's had 8, 5, and 9 targets, 7, 3, and 7. He only has 1 touchdown in the season. So if he starts having some touchdown regression and those numbers come up, then he's going to absolutely become a even better play. But yeah, you're throwing him out there. And like I said, you're playing Cade Otton.
Yes.
And so anything else you want to throw in on that game?
No, this should be a good one.
Yeah.
To repeat. So
both of them are 4-3, by the way.
Yeah. This will be, they played earlier already, right? Like 2 weeks ago?
Did they?
3 weeks ago?
I don't think they've played yet. I think this is their first matchup. I could be 100% wrong.
I think.
I can go look. We'll go look at a game log.
I think the Falcons lost.
Yeah, you're right. They did play Tampa.
I think the Falcons lost.
And Kirk Cousins went hamburglar.
All over it.
Yeah, he was 42 for 58. 5. That was this big game. 509 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Oh, they did. They won that with the last second field goal kick.
Kirk O'Chain showed up in that one.
Yep. So, it might be, definitely.
Yeah, so, I had forgot they played. So, you're putting them out there. There's a reason I got Kirk as my smash of the week.
Right.
So, I don't expect that again, but man,
it'd be nice.
It would be nice. It would be real nice. I believe that was a Thursday night game too, if I remember correctly. But I could be wrong.
It was a night game. It was a prime time. I don't know if it was Thursday or Monday or Sunday or. It's one of those games.
All right, it was on one of those days.
It was one of those days in the nighttime.
All right, the New England. Oh my God. The Buffalo Bills.
Who the fuck are you?
I was looking at something else, and then I seen the Patriots, and then I was like, no, I was wanting to talk about the Bills. My bad.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills 5-2 at the Seattle Seahawks 4-3. Both offenses are clicking. Now. Buffalo, well, at least it seems like Buffalo's clicking.
This last week they clicked, yeah.
Seattle's got it going on. They're starting to become accustomed to that offense. It's just one of those things. There's an episode we had where the key word was evolve. These teams are evolving. They're learning each other. They're learning new things.
Yes.
And as they become more comfortable in their situations, they're going to get better or they're going to get replaced. But yeah, I'm playing both quarterbacks in this game. Josh Allen, obviously, we're not gonna sit here and try to split hairs with that. Geno Smith, I'm throwing him out there. He's currently the QB6 on the season. He's been pretty good, and the crazy thing is he's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns on those interceptions. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns on the season. And it's for as much volume that he's throwing, you would think he would have more. His touchdown percentage is one of the lower in the league, so I think it's another one. His
pass percentage is one of the higher in the league.
Yeah, it is the highest. At least it was coming into last week.
Yeah.
And so, I think at some point you're going to have some touchdown regression on that end as well, where he's going to start. Those numbers are going to start going up. And for anybody who's going to be a dick, regression does not mean go backwards. It means go to the place it's supposed to, the mean. Okay, so you have a point where things are supposed to be based off of statistics, and you're either below that point or you're way above that point, and you're going to have regression at some point back to that statistically. I just want to throw it out there because I know how people are like, oh, it's not regression if he's getting more.
Thanks, teacher. And also, I was only going to be a dick for a second, but I'll let you have that. So.
James Cook, you're throwing him out there. Kenneth Walker is a freaking man among boys when he's running the ball. He's currently the RB8 on the season, and Cook's the RB14. So they're definitely in your lineup. And I'm not playing any of these other guys at all because when these guys are healthy and they're good, they're going to get the most of the work.
And Kenneth Walker's RB8, and he's only played 5 weeks.
Exactly.
So take that with what it is. That's what it's worth.
I mean, Ray Davis is a deep dart throw. If you're fucking desperate and you are scraping the bottom of the barrel because he's so explosive when he gets out there. Like last week, he only had 5 carries, but he had 41 yards and he got a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he did catch a ball for 6 yards. So he's going to get work in the game, and you just hope that he can be out there. But you can't play him with extreme confidence. You're definitely just throwing him in a flex and going, please get me a touchdown.
Come on, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Amari Cooper, he looked great in his first thing, and he's going to, quote, evolve with this offense as well.
And he didn't play a lot. He was only out there 35% of the snaps.
Yeah, but he was targeted 5 times when he was out there, so that's good news there. That they wanted to get him involved. He caught that nice touchdown where he had to get a little bit of help on his route. And I'm playing Shakir. I'm playing Keon Coleman. I think that he opens up. I think Amari Cooper, when he's out there, he opens this offense up a little bit more for those guys.
Yes.
And
it clearly showed this last week.
Yeah.
People were frantic. They were all over trying to cover Cooper, and it just left everybody else looking good, and open.
And I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. As long as, of course, health plays into this, as long as they all stay healthy, I think by the end of the season, Amari Cooper could be a potential league winner at wide receiver. He could be somebody who's putting up consistent, top receiver numbers by the end of the season and help carry people to championships.
I think in a similar breath, you could probably go with Khalil Shakir on that boat too.
I don't know about league winner, but he could be a very consistent wide receiver too.
Like I was going to say, I think because this kind of opens. I was telling Terrell the other day too. I didn't think honestly it was going to help Keon as much as it did, but I do think it helps Khalil Shakir. Shakir was doing magic by himself out there when he was the only receiver that was catching anything.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the best week he had it before this in a half-point PPR was 16.2 points. He only had double digits 2 times before last week, and last week he got 10 points. So, I think he's going to be solid. I don't expect him to be, blowing anybody's skirt up, but he can definitely be a pretty damn good flex play.
He got more targets. He was super consistent, and he played a little more percentage than typical too. If that increases and moves forward, we could be looking at a larger production out of him, and throw a couple touchdowns involved into it as well.
The only thing that would concern me, because I think you're going to have to take your bet on one or the other. I don't think both of Keon and Shakir can both be what you want them to be.
That's why I'm going Shakir.
Yeah.
I didn't bring Keon into this.
No, that's what
because
I'm saying.
I don't think
yeah.
Keon's going to – he doesn't look as crisp and as good of a route runner as Khalil does.
Oh, no, yeah,
he
I
just
would
had a
agree with
good
that.
week this week.
Yeah.
But he's still a rookie. You can clearly see it in the game. I watched it even this week. His one big catch that he got still looked rookie-fied, if that makes sense.
No, I get that.
It was like a slow run. It was like oh my God, I got the ball. There was a lot there. I don't think Keon's gonna like win anybody leagues and stuff, but I think Khalil Shakir can pay off from this Amari Cooper.
I don't think either one of them are going to win anybody leagues. That's what I'm saying. But I will say this, and just to be devil's advocate to what you're saying, Keon Coleman is the more explosive player. He's the more big play type dude.
Oh, yeah.
And he is more suited as an outside receiver role. And so if you get Amari playing on one side and you get Keon's probably going to play the other side, Shakir's going to be limited to that slot position at some point, I believe. And in there he's going to have a lesser target share, because if you look last week, Keon played 75% of the snaps, and Shakir played just 69. Under 69. Nice. So, but if I was going to bet money, just because I know what Shakir is, I would bet on Keon, unless I'm looking for stability. If I'm just looking for somebody that's going to get me 8 to 10 points every week, maybe I play Shakir. But if I want somebody who could potentially get 15 points like he almost got last week, then maybe I throw out Coleman. But again, this is one of those things. Both of them aren't going to be that 10 to 15 guy.
Yeah.
So you got to pick which one you want and then ride with it. And so I lean more towards the Coleman side. Baker leads more toward the Shakir side.
The Shakir side, yeah.
And so we'll have to see. But I'm not strong enough on either one of those to make any bets.
I want Coleman to be the guy, but it's still too early, and I can clearly see he's not ready.
I think the Amari Cooper effect is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he shows up and he's like, just do this, young buck.
Yeah. Well, if Keon isn't the one telling Amari, do this, old buck.
Fair point. DK Metcalf got hurt in the game. Is considered week to week, so we don't know. Well, he's got a grade 1 MCL sprain. I expect him to miss this week. So smash your Jackson Smith and Jigba this week.
Yes, JS into the moon.
Yeah, if DK goes down, Tyler Lockett should have a pretty solid week. And if you want to get real sneaky, you throw Bobo out there. Bobo is somebody who he'll show up every once in a while on the scene, but he rarely plays. But after DK went down, he played and he got more, and he was up to almost 50% of the snaps. He only got one target, but I don't think Jake Bobo's going to go out there and put up 30 points or anything. But but he could be a Baker Bottom consideration. He could get you 5 to 8 if you're just trying to get somebody that's not going to goose you.
Exactly.
Kincaid, you're putting him out there. Noah Fant's interesting to me. He was 4 for 4 last week. In the last 2 weeks, he's had 10 targets and 10 catches. He's just not getting the touchdowns, but he's definitely being involved. And he's, if you look on the season, he's caught all but 3 of his targets, all the 4 of his targets for the whole season.
Yep.
He's 24 for 28. So when they throw it to him, homie's catching the ball.
Exactly.
And he's getting it thrown to him. So
he's the Rashad White of tight ends.
Apparently, except he's not getting the touchdown love yet. But I think he can be solid. I mean, like I said, I don't think he's going to be a top 5 tight end unless he does get a touchdown. You throw a touchdown in with these catches in the last couple of weeks, because he's averaging like last week he averaging over 16 yards per catch. So it's not like he's just getting little dump offs over the line of scrimmage.
I'd like to sit down and actually look at their red zone touchdown production, because I can recall at least 3 touchdowns this year that were well outside of the red zone.
Bombs,
so I'm thinking maybe just in that red zone it just becomes
when they get
a run
inside
game.
The zone, it's all
a run game. Yeah. And even Charbonnet, the week that Kenneth Walker was out, Charbonnet had a big week. So it's almost like, I don't know I don't think it's a trust thing, but it's almost like a game script to where they get anywhere near the red zone. None of these, unless you're catching it like DK 30 yards out and running it in or something, they don't get all the red zone love touchdowns.
Right.
So, which is why Geno doesn't have very many touchdowns this year.
fair point. Yeah, because they're not really working that red zone too much.
Exactly.
We're not going to spend a ton of time on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6-0, playing the Raiders 2-5.
It doesn't make any sense. I hope the Raiders beat the shit out of them. And just
they need to get their ass beat.
I just think
that's the only way they're going to fix it.
I hope that Gardner Minshew comes out there with their new addition of Terrence Marshall.
Yeah.
And just they walk all over the Chiefs for no reason. Like they shouldn't.
Oh, I didn't realize Terrence Marshall went to.
They signed him today. They signed him off of the.
Hit the button.
Oh,
the Trash Panda button. Because that should have been on the Trash
there
Panda.
It is.
Oh my God! Who the hell cares?
Baker cares.
They had to replace Devontae Adams, man. They went out and got Terrence Marshall.
Yeah.
So they did their job.
I think it's Terrace Marshall.
It might be. I like the Terrence because that's how I read it. Even though there's probably not an N there, but I feel like it is.
But here's the thing: Mahomes, he's the quarterback 22 on the season. They're 6-0, bro.
Yeah.
His best finish this season for a week has been QB 13, and that was in week 1.
It's the defense, man. It's Chris Jones. They
don't have wide receivers. It's two things. They don't need to throw the ball all over the place.
And when you got somebody like Kareem Hunt coming off his couch to come in and run touchdowns every game, you can't get. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
so.
he's still attempting the ball over 25 times a game. It's just, it's like he completed 26 passes for 217 yards.
Yeah.
There's just no down the field, high flying 4 or 5 touchdown games. Right now Mahomes on the season, he's got 2, 4, 5, 6. He has less touchdown passes than Geno.
Look, Mahomes is a streamer play if you're going to put him out there.
I don't even think he's a streamer at this time. I think he's a bench. I think he's a waiver. Just leave him on the fucking waivers.
On the waivers.
Yeah, because I would rather play. Shit, I'd play Bo Nix over him.
Yes,
Bo Nix has been over 20 points 3 weeks in a row.
The last 3 weeks, Caleb Williams. I'd play Caleb Williams over him.
Absolutely. Drake May.
Yep.
Give me Drake May. It's
especially
like, and this goes back to last season, dude.
Yeah,
this goes back last season. I don't know the exact number, but I want to say that he's like in his last 17 games, he's only been a quarterback 1, like 7% of the time.
That makes sense.
And 0% of the time this season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we played 7. So in the last 10 games,
half of last season.
Yeah, and it's bonkers.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like I said, for fantasy purposes, they need to get clapped. They need to start losing games.
They need something to shut them down.
Yeah. They need the defense to start sucking a little bit harder, because you're right. Like a vast majority of it is their defense is phenomenal.
It just, they
shut everything down. I was trying to figure out my don'ts, and I was looking at like who you don't play, and I'm like, well, I could just pick whoever's playing against Kansas City at almost every position.
Yeah.
Because they shut down everything but like tight ends. And so yeah, I'm definitely fading Mahomes. If I've got him, he's been dropped to waivers for players like Bo Nix or Drake May, because there's upside with these guys. They play on teams with shitty defenses who they have to, or you're not shitty, but you know what I'm saying? Like they have to go out there and score points and try to compete. They can't just, coast the whole game and do bullshit stuff and still win. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mahomes is still a great quarterback, but he doesn't have to be anything special. He's just got to be like, all right, let's just kick this field goal. We'll let the defense not let them do anything.
We'll win by 5 and only score 2 touchdowns, so it's okay.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
I'm not playing Minshew against the Chiefs, so let's just move on from that.
I'm not. Yeah, no.
I will say this: if I had to pick between Minshew and Mahomes, I would play Mahomes over Minshew. So,
yeah. I'm sure the Raiders would as well.
I will say this: unless I was needing upside, because if I needed upside, then I'd play Minshew, because there's a potential that he's going to have to pass 60 times, and maybe he gets me 20 fantasy points.
Minshew can throw 3 touchdowns in a game, and he's still only going to get you 9 fantasy points. I don't care how you look at it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't matter. He's going to offset those 3 touchdowns with 4 picks
and 3 fumbles.
Exactly. It's going to be so sad.
Kareem Hunt, yeah, you talked about a guy just coming off the couch and beasting. All right, there you go. That's all they need.
He is. That's all it was. Last 2 weeks, dude has been superbly more than money.
Yes.
I
mean, I would be willing to play Alexander Madison as a flex play in this, just because he's been getting the work. He's the one now, and so he's been getting the volume, and you just hope that he does something with that volume and doesn't kill you. He's projected for only 6 points.
With Minshew out there too, though, he gets a little more in the pass catching work. Right. Aiden O'Connell didn't target him as much, but it's still with Minshew out there. Minshew likes to throw
if I'm playing him, I'm not expecting what he got you last week, or the last 2 weeks. I wouldn't even be expecting double-digit numbers, but he's definitely not going to goose you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with wide receivers, man, for the Chiefs. I'm definitely not playing Sky Moore or Watson or Hardman, but do I play Worthy? I don't know. Worthy, he didn't do doo-doo last week, but the 2 weeks before that, he was pretty solid, Yeah. And so
he's not very efficient, with what he gets. Like I said, and this is one where I don't watch the game, so I don't know. I got to imagine it's Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. They got to be good targets. They got to be good passes.
Yeah.
So it's got to be him. I mean, he went.
Well, it's the routes that he runs. So.
Caught 3 of 8, last week.
Well, I should say he runs a lot of longer.
Yeah, so
he's the MVS type. You know what I'm saying? So it's they're low percentage place to begin with. He's not running the Rashee Rice stuff underneath.
Yeah.
Nobody's
running the Rashee Rice stuff.
Well, it was Juju until he got hurt. I mean, it's actually Noah Gray now.
Yeah, I know. Noah actually showed up a little bit this week. Yeah.
Kelsey is just out there blocking for the most part. If he's not, he did have 5 targets, 4 catches last week, but it was like 17 yards.
It was like short stuff.
No touchdowns. But yeah, you're playing Kelsey because you're just hoping that he gets back involved. If based off that wide receiver, room, you would think Kelsey would be getting more play. So it's kind of a thing. I would play Jacoby Myers if he's healthy and out there
playing. Yeah.
I don't want to play anybody else though. So I'm fading a lot of the wide receivers, and then Brock Bowers. Yes, absolutely, guy's a fucking animal. But
we'll talk about him later.
Okay,
just in case.
All right, let's roll. Let's hit one more before we roll into the primetime games. The Bears, 4-2, surprisingly, the way they looked at the beginning of the season, you wouldn't have guessed that. And then the Commanders also surprisingly. So this is like the surprising bowl, surprise bowl. Caleb Williams, the offense has been clicking. I'm definitely throwing him out there against Washington. Their defense is generally bad, although it was good against Carolina last week. And then Jaden Daniels, if he's healthy, yes. But if Mariota's playing, I'm willing to throw Mariota out there. He runs a lot. He's he can get it going. Chicago is a tough defense, but I think I would play Mariota if he starts over Mahomes.
Yeah.
But I'm playing Caleb Williams, absolutely. I'm playing Swift, against this defense. And then Brian Robinson, I'm playing him with confidence. He's currently, I think, like the RB7 on the season. Excuse me, RB15, sorry. And then I'm probably not going to play Eckler in this matchup unless I absolutely have to, just because of how good Chicago is on defensively. So, but if you got a double flex league, you're playing in a deep league, then yeah, I'm throwing him out there, I guess. DJ Moore, yeah, but talk to me about Keenan Allen. He had that good week, and then they had their bye. Do you think that was something prescriptive for what's to come, or do you think it was just who they were playing?
That's a red zone thing. They're progressively getting better at getting down the field and getting into the red zone. Because like weeks 1, 2, and 3, I don't think they saw the red zone but like 2 times. So, and that's where they're working their offense out.
Right.
And Keenan Allen's, he's the red zone target. They finally got down there, they got into the red zone, and that's why he has such a big game. It's based on 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, it was only 5 targets, which isn't much more. It's about what he gets. I mean, he had 11 targets week 1, which they were all over the place offensively. But the defense won him the game. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know. Now that they're finally figuring their offense out, they're realizing what Keenan Allen is as far as a weapon is concerned.
Right.
And being able to utilize that. So, same thing with Kmet. They're using these big body guys and getting into the red zone. And both of these guys are paying off because they figured their offense out to get down the field.
Right.
So they have more red zone opportunity. I'm playing Keenan Allen. I would have
I'd
no
play
problem
DJ
in this.
Moore. I play Keenan Allen. I'm fading everybody else.
Exactly.
I'm playing McLaurin. Absolutely. I'm fading everybody else. Maybe if I'm desperate, Noah Brown, just because he only got 1 target last week. He had 8 the week before. So, but,
The third receiver on this will be on Baker's Bottoms in case anybody's worried about that too.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
We will.
So you're playing Komet, you're playing Ertz, and that's it on that. So let's roll. Let's hit these real quick. The Cowboys on the Sunday night game at the 49ers. The Cowboys are 3-3. The 49ers are 3-4. Both these defenses were very good last year, and they're mid this year.
Yeah, they're kind of floundering a little bit, in my opinion.
So I'm playing Prescott in this game if I got him. I'm playing Purdy. I'm playing Dowdle. I'm playing Mason. I'm playing CeeDee Lamb. If Debo's out there and he gets full practices,
Yeah.
I'm playing him.
And
I don't expect him to be
I don't
out there,
think he's
though.
going to play. I really don't.
So Jawan Jennings is in play. Ricky Pearsall's in play, and Cowing's in play. So, what I would do if I was somebody trying to figure out what to do with these wide receivers is you need to get on X. You need to go find out who the beat writers are for San Francisco. You need to go follow their Twitters, and you need to see what they're saying in the practices of who's doing what, who's running with first team. It looks like so-and-so's playing this and that. That kind of can give you some insight into who you want to play and how you want to do it. I
definitely watch with Jawan too because he didn't play this last game. He's still dealing with that hip injury. So
I would definitely play Jawan just because he is a favorite target of Purdy, especially if he's the main guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But he's still dealing with a hip injury. He was out last week.
That's true,
and
that's true.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him coming back and being active for this next game or coming.
It just
to
says
be active.
hopeful for week 8.
Exactly. So I mean, just definitely watch that. That's
honestly, if Debo and Jennings are gone, you're just running Pearsall and Cowing out there.
I went out there and picked Pearsall up everywhere, just on the sure shot that there might be a chance, even at wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
it's like you can still get good play out of it. So
you're playing Fergie, Jake Ferguson. You're playing Kittle, who's the tight end 1 on the season right now.
He's gonna be the tight end 1 this week too. I think. It's gonna be a big game.
Yeah, especially with all the receivers being down, it's going to be the Kittle and the shits.
Yeah, it's
going to be him shitting all over all the Cowboys defenders while he's running past them.
It's crazy. Bold take. I kind of think that Purdy runs a little bit more this game too.
Possibly.
I think we see him put a
there was a
feet
clip.
to ground.
I don't know what it was about, but there was a clip of Shanahan just like lecturing Purdy in the dugout after last week, or not the dugout, the fucking dugout.
Would you come in after the?
Yeah, he had a pop fly to center, and then he got lectured in the dugout. He didn't hustle out of ground balls.
That's what it was.
But no, after he threw the 3 picks, whatever. And so I don't know if Shanahan was just like, "Hey, it's okay, keep your head up," or if he's like, "You fucking suck," and you
need to straighten this shit up, dude.
But they showed the clip, so I don't know what that's about. But based off of, and it could be a lot of different things. You read a lot into body language. It looked like Purdy was irritated. Now it could be a situation where Purdy's like, "I suck. I can't play football. I'm the worst." And Shanahan's like, "No, you're not. You're the most handsome. You're the funniest. You're the best ever." And he's like, "Oh, I'm not. You're just saying that. I'm the terriblest ever.
You're the Jimmy Garoppolo of quarterbacks. You're so beautiful."
Speaking of beautiful, have you seen Sam Hartman? The backup, the third string, he was the quarterback for Notre Dame.
Okay, no, I don't know where we're going with this.
He looks like he was brought out of a romance novel into real life.
Oh, really? Now,
literally,
who's this guy?
His name's Sam Hartman.
Hey, Google.
He might be the most handsome man that I've ever seen. I am at least
holy shit.
I'm at least 98% straight, and
no, you're not at all. That dude is fucking beautiful.
He is a beautiful fucking man. He might have Jimmy B.
Is he chiseled out of stone?
Bro, go look at his images where he was on, because he's the third string guy. He's in t-shirts. He's over there with like a clipboard on the sideline. You want to talk about women on TikTok are falling in love with this man. They don't like, who is this guy? But he literally looks like whatever every romance novel guy. He
looks better than most romance novel guys. This dude's got the jawline.
Yeah, he has
the predominant eye, like
the perfect hair, he's tall, dark, and handsome.
Wait, how tall is he?
Yeah.
I need to see.
That's the kind of dude that makes you question things about yourself.
I'm not questioning anything. I know what's going on down here. 6'1", 209. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This dude is my dream guy.
I tell you, dude. He looked like that in college. That dude's looked like that his whole life. When
Some people just have all the luck.
Yes,
He's got to have a little one. I mean, or if he's got a.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, this could go off the rails really quick. So let's change the subject and move on. Let's move on.
Sorry. All right.
I'm in the dark web right now. So,
all right. The last game on the slate is the Monday night game. The Giants 2-5 versus Steelers 5-2. The Giants O-line was an absolute sieve. Here, let me see this. I got to ask them. They're here now. So, guys, what was the problem? Look, just sit down. Sit over there. They were absolute.
For those of y'all wondering, they have the same O-line as the Bengals did 4 years ago
when they went to the Super Bowl. They wish they had that O-line.
I know, no shit, right?
Every time I turned around last week, Philadelphia was sacking them again.
It's so crazy, man.
It was unbelievable. So I don't know what they're going to do with that O-line, but they better figure something out because Pittsburgh, guess what? Also pretty good.
So much better. So much better. TJ Watt on the other side is the whole Eagles
TJ Watt's going to have 13 sacks in this game.
And that's if he gets injured at halftime. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there.
Yeah, because I can't remember the dude that plays the other side, but he just came back from injury last game for the Steelers. And that dude's pretty good too.
Alex Highsmith, yeah.
Yeah, he is. That dude's pretty damn good as well.
There's another one too that's freaking been eating the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
I need to do my research more before I get into this.
Yeah, well, we don't really deal with a lot of defensive players as far as like the podcast goes, so we don't research a lot of them. But I'm just telling you that if they better design an offense that is literally hike, throw the ball, or immediate handoff.
Super quick.
Because Daniel Jones is going to be sacked so much that they're going to be playing their 15th string quarterback by the second quarter.
It's going to be
TJ Watt's he's going to have to
Cameron Hayward.
Yeah, Cameron Hayward. Yeah, I have him on he's a defensive tackle.
Yeah, that dude is money on the other side over there. Like it's crazy.
And so it's going to be an absolute nightmare if their O-line is anything like it was last week.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, Daniel Jones is already he's in therapy now for what's going to happen to him this week if they don't get the O-line.
Well, he took an insurance policy out on himself to be certain that he was covered when he got...
Yeah, but they wouldn't give it to him because they're like, well, who are you playing this week? And it's like the Steelers are like no.
Lie to us.
Yeah, they're like, dude, it's like if you live in Florida, you can't get house insurance.
Exactly. You're not allowed that. Not right now.
No.
Not right now. Wait till these hurricanes pass. And then, so TJ Watt is a hurricane of the NFL. Is that what you're saying?
100%. But yeah, so I don't know what to do with the running backs. Against Pittsburgh, I'm probably trying to fade all the running backs I can on the Giants side of the ball. Tyrone Tracy would be the one I would play. He got the majority of the snap percentages last week. He didn't do a ton with them, but he did catch 3 balls for 9 yards. So he wasn't horrendous. I mean, he was horrendous, but it could have been worse based off of what that offense did. Singletary only played 21% of the snaps. I don't know if he was still dealing with whatever he was out with injury-wise. So it could just be the fact that Tracy's a better running back. But you'll see. But just because of I don't know what's going on there, and their whole offense right now is just
there's definite
trash.
Hesitation on where to go with that. Yeah.
Najee looked great, and with Russell Wilson at quarterback. By the way, let's back up to the court. I'm not playing Daniel Jones. Absolutely not happening. Russell Wilson, I'd play him in this game. He looked good. He's going to throw the ball downfield. That's why they put him in. They put him. The reason they made this switch when they were 4-2 is because they want somebody to throw the ball to George Pickens.
Yeah,
because Fields wasn't throwing the ball to George Pickens.
This is my favorite thing that's happened in football in like many years.
Yeah,
and I don't even like Russell Wilson. I'm not even a Russell Wilson fan, but. The fact
and he didn't even throw those good of passes.
No, they weren't good at all. But George Pickens is he's a cheat code.
He is a cheat code.
He's a cheat code, and I think given the opportunity, this guy is good. This could be a league. He could be a league winner for many people.
Absolutely,
especially
absolutely.
If Russell does what he just did this last game,
yes,
continuously, which is
and
it's not even much.
Well, first of all, you got to understand too. That was like their first time playing together.
Exactly.
And so as they work more together and he figures Russell out more, because it's going to be more about him figuring Russell.
Yeah, exactly.
Russell's going to do whatever the fuck Russell's going to do.
Exactly.
He's and so, but hopefully Russell can figure out how to get the ball a little bit farther downfield for him, or maybe Pickens doesn't run as fast and is like, all right,
he kind of holds back a little bit. Oh, he told me to go 30 and out. He'll go 26 and out and turn,
Yeah. But I expect this to be really good for Pickens and Najee. It opens it up for the run game as well. And we know Arthur Smith ultimately wants to run the ball. Yeah. Everything they do in that offense is predicated off of that. And so if they can make this defense have to stay back and the safeties can't crowd the line, it could really open some things up. So I'm playing Najee. I'm playing Warren. I'm real pumped about what Warren can do. This will be his second week back from the injury as well, and working with Russell in that offense. Malik Neighbors, I'm just hoping that that Daniel Jones has enough time to throw him the ball. Wan'Dale Robinson, when Daniel Jones has time, Wan'Dale gets the ball. I mean, he still had 9 targets last week, so he is a target hog. He's got to be in your lineup. Yeah,
for 23 yards.
Yeah, because it was those snap and throw.
It was like,
yeah,
he didn't have time to get out.
He could actually be more involved in Neighbors, because Neighbors is more your downfield guy, and they can't
have time.
Yeah, see, and part of the problem with Daniel Jones getting sacked so much last week was the fact that they had all these long developing plays. You would think after the 912th sack, they would go, you know what? Let's do quicker
let's
plays.
Do something a little. Let's drop back a little bit. And,
let's quit trying to throw these long plays. Let's do a little bit shorter stuff. Maybe a couple screen passes.
Just see what happens.
Mix it in.
Let's get this worked out.
I'll tell you who's interesting to me right now is Calvin Austin. With Russell coming in, I think he's going to. He didn't really do a lot last week, but I really think that he's going to start being integrated more into this offense. What happened to your guy Roman Wilson was going to be brought in? He was a healthy scratch. My bad.
Well, he played last week.
No, he didn't.
Oh no, he played the week before that.
Yeah, he was a healthy scratch last week. But yeah, even Van Jefferson caught a ball last week. I think it was a touchdown.
Yeah,
yeah.
They were specifying.
I should go pick him up off waivers.
Well, they said something about Van Jefferson's dad is the receiver coach for the other team they played against last week.
Oh, really?
And it was like, he caught a touchdown pass.
It was the Jets.
So the Jets receiver coach is Van Jefferson's dad. So,
oh wow!
And they were like, he caught a touchdown against
his own
dad's team, or whatever, or the team his dad.
Yeah, I'm not playing any tight ends for the Giants, but I will play Freiermuth. And Darnell Washington will be a sneaky play if you really want to try to get a little buck wild. He caught 4 balls on 4 targets last week, and it seems like he had something going with Russell there.
That's who he's probably been practicing with through most of the time when he does practice.
Yeah.
If they got Fields out with the 1s, Darnell's going to be with him with the 2s. So
yeah. Possibly. So there may be some of that there as well. But either way, he did get the ball to Washington, actually more than Freiermuth. What happened?
So the Giants don't have a kicker?
They got rid of they'll have a kicker. They're running tryouts.
You scroll through these, you look and you see the team layout and all this stuff, and you're like, I get down here and I'm like, wait a second, there's a person missing on this team.
Yeah, I don't remember who the kicker was. They just kicked off the team.
They probably had him out there as O lineman too.
Well, here's the problem. It's like, he was the problem. He's the reason they lost.
Yeah, Daniel Jones keeps getting sacked. Let's get rid of our kicker.
Yeah, because you needed to put the whole O line on the street and the O line coach.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm throwing Freiermuth out there in Washington. I'd be willing if I'm desperate. Also,
in a desperation. Yeah, definitely. He got a lot of targets with Russell Wilson out there.
All right, well, from there, since Baker's leaving the room, I'll go ahead and run my Daniel's don'ts for the week.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
There it is. All right, so my don'ts for the week. I've got a couple quarterbacks and a tight end. I didn't really feel anything with the running backs and wide receivers. I felt like I didn't see anybody I felt like was getting shut down. And maybe I was a little gun shy after getting burnt last week. We'll see. But so I went with Trevor Lawrence against Green Bay. Green Bay in the last 3 weeks against Carolina, they gave up 7 points. to the quarterbacks. They gave up 4 to Arizona and 4 to Houston. Green Bay is currently the number 2 fantasy defense, and they are shutting quarterbacks down pretty consistently. And so I think Trevor Lawrence, the way Jacksonville's already struggling on the offense, they did have a good week last week, and it looked like they were going to be okay, but they also played a subpar offense, or defense, I should say. I would fade Trevor Lawrence if I could. And then my other quarterback would be the Panthers quarterback. I forgot to mention, he was in the notes, but I didn't mention it. Andy Dalton was in a car wreck today. There was no serious injuries. He was in the car with his wife and his 3 children. I didn't read how bad the car wreck was.
And his dog. Don't forget his dog.
Oh,
his dog was there too. Yeah.
And his dog. But everybody was fine.
Yep.
Except they say there could be a potential injury with Andy Dalton. So they haven't released anything.
Have him looked at. It's probably a concussion situation, where they have their own stuff that they have to go through in order to clear concussion protocol or whatever. You're involved in an accident? Oh, no, we got to go through them. But I think they said that the NFL doctors and shit had to look into it and see what was going on. So
gotcha. The Panthers, but so I say the Panthers quarterback against Denver. I mean, obviously you're not starting Bryce, but some people have been thinking Dalton's been doing okay, and then the last 2 weeks he's kind of shit his pants. And I think it's going to be another bad week for the Panthers quarterback. Denver is tough against quarterbacks. And then Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews had a couple really good weeks. Well, Cleveland doesn't like to give points to tight ends, and I think Cleveland's going to be rejuvenated. I think there's 2 things going on. One, the devil is on the IR, but the other thing is somehow they've all united under the fact that they're going to defend him against him being booed. So I think there's going to be. I think 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Maybe there's a section of that team who is glad Watson is gone and they don't care that he was booed, and there might be a section who's upset. Or maybe they all just say, you know what, screw the fans for booing our guy. We're going to go out there, we're going to galvanize, and we're going to galvanize behind whoever plays quarterback and do good. But I think the defense is really where this team is tough and what they're going to depend on. And I think they're going to go out there against Baltimore, who is a very tough rival, and they're going to try to shut them down. The last 3 weeks they played against Washington, they gave up 2 points. Philly, they did give up 15. And then oh God, I put C. I didn't finish writing the name of the team who they played last week. Cleveland.
Cleveland played Cincinnati.
Okay, and they gave up 1 point to Cincinnati at tight end. So I think Mark Andrews is going to have a down game and kind of come back to earth, and this could probably be a Zay Flowers game. So there it is. Trevor Lawrence versus Green Bay, Mark Andrews at Cleveland, and whoever is the Panthers quarterback at Denver. I think it's going to be Dalton. I think, like you said, I think everything's just a precaution.
Yeah.
But just in case it is Bryce, so I just said that.
And while we've been doing the podcast, I think they came out and said that Winston will be starting for Cleveland.
Oh, they did. So DTRs are going to miss the week.
So just heads up. I think they came out and said that Winston's going to start.
So Pick 6 Predator is going to be starting.
30 for 30, baby.
All right, let's hit them power bottoms.
Unless they happen to be power bottoms.
What's a power bottom?
A power bottom is a bottom that is capable of receiving an enormous amount of power.
There you go.
So this week is a little different. There's not a lot out there. We've had a lot of injuries in wide receiver, running back. It's been a lot of young people kind of making appearances, and a lot of people are holding people, stashing, trying to go. But I'm looking at, for running back, I went with, I didn't do a running back last week. I kind of like where I'm going with this running back this week. I hope it kind of turns out. But Amari DeMarcado for Arizona. And this is based a lot on the fact that if you look at James Conner's touches this year so far, it's kind of a big week, 80%, big game. Next week, he only plays 40, 45% of the snaps. Next week, he plays 70% of the snaps. He has a big week, and the next week, he only plays 40, 50% of the snaps. Well, last week, he played 83% of the snaps, and every week that Conner doesn't have a big week, like a huge timeshare.
Yeah, snap percentages.
DeMarcado pays dividends. I say dividends. He's got 11 points one week. He ended up with like 6 or 5 catches and all this stuff. And so this is against this last week they just played, last night against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. Conner had a huge week. He owned the Chargers, which Chargers were supposedly pretty tough against the run, and Connor owned it out. And this week, Democrat is playing against Miami. So even if you take anything I just said away, I think that there's a potential if Tua doesn't start,
right,
they could be ahead so far in the beginning of the game. They just kind of start sitting starters at the end, and Democrato sees a lot more game time.
Right.
Anyways,
I would bet money Tua does start, but I think you could be right either way because the defense for Miami is not very good,
especially against the run.
Yeah.
They're like bottom 2 or 3 or 4 somewhere in the. They're down there with the Bills. They're all right down there. And I just think Democrato has a chance to come out
this
here.
Game,
and get,
did you see if it was at Cleveland or sorry,
I didn't see where it was at, but I can tell you where it's at real quick. Miami.
Because I think if it's at Miami, it's going to be a little bit hotter. Although San Diego, actually, they play in a dome in San Diego, so
yeah, it's Arizona. So it's Arizona at the Dolphins.
At the Dolphins, okay, yeah. So that's another thing too. So they could, James Conner out there in that heat, that could also factor in.
And like I said, I kind of played it off like this year. He went like 75, then 45, 75, 80, 45, and then this last week he played 83% of the snaps, and now. And Democrato, they haven't used Trey Benson a whole lot.
Right.
He's been out there, but not usage-wise. So I think Democrato could potentially get you a Baker's bottom week. Yeah. You're looking, 5 to 10 points.
Gotcha.
In that aspect. Next one, we talked about it earlier. I said you might want to look at this guy, but Olamide Zaccheaus. Olamide versus Chicago, which Chicago's tough, but Chicago's not tough against every receiver on the team. They don't give up a lot, but that's because they shut down their ones. They shut down the big guys.
Right.
And I think if Jaden Daniels doesn't play and Mariota does, that there's a little bit of we saw last week, there was a little more usage of Olamide last week.
Right.
And I think that could play over it. Even if Jaden Daniels does play with the bruised ribs or whatever, there's still a chance that this guy can be a little more involved if they start shutting down.
It says unlikely when I was leading. It says unlikely
to play. Yeah. So I think this is a good chance to get a receiver who could potentially get you 6 or 8 points and maybe even a touchdown. I don't know. And then this one's not a homer, not a heart play, not any of that, but I think Chigakonkwo, I don't have a real reason for this, but I think as far as tight end is concerned, they're playing against Detroit, and, if anything's going to happen, it's got to happen. They're going to be throwing the ball the entire time.
Yeah.
The Tennessee is going to, every time they have the ball, they're going to be throwing because they're going to be playing from behind 100% of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't care who starts, if it's Mason Rudolph or if it's...
Well, Detroit generally shuts down the run anyway. And that's kind of their superpower.
So it's always going to be the pass.
Yeah.
And I just think that there's no way that they're going to be able to pass the ball enough. And I think D-Hop's dealing with something too. So
yeah, he was questionable.
This could open up a target, but I think Chig's going to have to be involved in some form or fashion if anything's going to happen out of this game. If it's 0 to 99 at the end of the game, Chig won't be involved. But
you probably throw Westbrook Akine in there too because he caught a touchdown last week, was a little bit more involved in that offense. I know it was with Mason Rudolph throwing, but he is with Ridley kind of doing what he is, and with D-Hop also being hurt, you have seen more Westbrook Akine. So
exactly.
I think it could be either one of those or both.
It could wake up. Something's got to happen. With any football game, there's going to be people that are going to get targets, and this is kind of more of did a shotgun approach. I looked at tight ends, and I'm like, we're going to go here. We're going to just go with this, and I just think it's going to work out. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, go ahead and hit the boom because we're going to hit our smashes.
Kaboom.
All right, my quarterback smash of the week is Kirk Cousins against Tampa. We know what he did last game. 500-plus yards, 5 touchdowns, absolutely lit the world on fire. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I do think that it's going to be another good game. And I think he's going to go out there and do what Kirko do.
Hey, like we said, pointed out before, he did great against them last time. So,
all right, who's your QB?
My QB smash this week is Lamar Jackson.
I know he's going with those top guys. Like the smash should be more people that you don't think about.
Well, he's playing against the Cleveland Browns, who the Cleveland Browns are like top 3 against quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, but Lamar. He's the #1 fantasy scorer on the season. That's like the lowest of hanging fruits.
Oh, it's not quite
as low. Lowest of hanging fruits.
But this is the first time I've gone with a top quarterback in all my smashes.
I know, but one week you went with Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver, and another week you went with
And he finished wide receiver 1. So, I mean, if they finish the receiver of the best, that's the best smash you could be. I mean, if you can call the one.
I didn't give guidelines on the smash, so I guess you can just go. Is your RB going to be Derrick Henry?
No. Close. J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. Well, okay. I almost I had to look at my sheet because I that was almost my smash.
I went with J.K. Dobbins against the Saints as far as this week is concerned for my smash for my running back. I think he's going to have a big week.
Well, and the Saints, believe it or not, they've been bleeding points for running backs. So.
They have been pretty bad against the run, yes.
Well, mine is, speaking of teams that are bad against runs, the Carolina and the run is Carolina, and I went with Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, when he plays against bad teams, he has good weeks.
Yep, that is true.
And then my wide receiver smash is a guy who's been emerging. We just talked about him earlier. And he's playing with your quarterback. His name is Rashad Bateman, playing against Cleveland. Cleveland bleeds points to the running back. And by the way, Cleveland is not top 3 against quarterbacks. They're going to tell you real quick what they are. Because their defense has not been exactly as shut down as we expect them to be in the past. So currently they are 20th. The 20. So they're the 12th best.
So
in the last 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks against Washington, they gave up 16. They gave up 20 to Philly and 13 to Cincinnati. And so, they shut one team down.
10 to Dallas, and who were the other ones? 13 to all these top quarterbacks not doing anything against them. I mean,
yeah. So, like I said, but a lot of this is skewed because I did the last 3 weeks, and you have buys incorporated. It's the buys have changed it. So, but
so where I got my information from, their top 10, they're 10th against.
Yeah, so
as far as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah, they're like the 10th best at giving the least points. I don't know how that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, they're 10th. They're 8th actually on this list.
8th is that. So
yeah, if you include the entire
season.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking at. They're really good. But I still think Lamar's going to eat. It's one of those where it's like, if I'm going to smash, I'm either going to smash somebody that nobody thinks is like and when I smash, I want them to finish top 3.
Schedule adjusted, they're 6th. So
like I feel like when I say I smash, I want them to finish top 3, or I didn't do my job as saying
I say
smash.
With me, when I say smash, I figure they finish top 24.
Oh, whoa, holy shit! Okay, well I'm smashing Gardner Minshew. Total joke.
Yeah, I'm just saying if we limited our smash to top 3, we would fail every week.
Well, that's what I tried. If I try my best. That's where my smash is directed.
Yeah,
and
I try to find deeper plays because if you got Lamar, you're already playing Lamar.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah,
and so, but I try to find like if you're trying to figure out if you're going to play J.K. Dobbins or Javonte Williams this week, you're looking at a flex play. Then we could sit here and talk about it. You give yours, I give mine. But So, but anyway, my wide receiver was Rashad Bateman. Who's your wide receiver?
My wide receiver is Cooper Kupp. If he plays,
yes,
coming back off the injury,
he's practicing full now, but we don't know, and he's also trade talks. So.
Yeah, exactly. Everything looks good for it, and even if he does get traded, I still think he's going to be pretty good wherever he ends up. If it happens now,
if it
happens tomorrow,
yeah, with any chance of it happening.
Exactly. But then if I have to pivot from that, I'm going Jordan Addison.
Okay.
Since I don't want to go with the direct guy of Justin Jefferson because we know Jefferson's going to have a good week.
What you don't want to go with the number 1 wide receiver in the season?
Well, he's not the number 1.
Oh, he's number 4.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Amon-Ra's number 1. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. Who is the number 1 wide receiver right now?
The number 1 probably Jamar Chase.
That's probably true. That's
based off of the way it's been going the last few weeks.
But yeah, I'm smashing Jordan Addison. Either one of these guys in this game, they're both going to eat, and I think Addison's going to get a little bit more just because they're going to try to shut Jefferson down. And I mean, they're playing against some team that's in the NFL who knows to shut Justin Jefferson down.
They are playing against Minnesota. Minnesota is playing against the Rams. And the Rams secondary is doo-doo.
Yeah, it's straight trash.
And then who's your tight end?
My tight end is the tight end 1 on the year.
George Kittle?
No, Brock Bowers.
Oh,
they got They're playing against Kansas City, and like I said,
Yeah.
I had to get a piece
that's
of
where
something
Kansas
to this
City
game.
is his biggest weakness is against tight ends.
I need the Raiders to somehow pull this win off, and I think if it's going to happen, it's going to be on the shoulders of Brock Bowers. Because that dude is explosive. He's super everywhere.
Yeah.
He is what Sam Laporta was last year.
Right.
I mean, per tight
100%.
end position. So
100%.
I'm smashing on Brock Bowers.
He might be better than Laporta by the end of the season.
It could
The only
very
thing
well
holding
be.
him back is Laporta was on a good offense. Can you imagine
if
if Brock
Brock Bowers
Bowers was on like Detroit
Yeah.
last year?
Oh, yeah. No,
It'd be
exactly.
insane. And mine is Jake Ferguson against San Francisco. San Francisco's defense isn't very good, and they have been giving up tons of points to the tight end position. And we all know that Dak loves him some Jakey Fergs.
Exactly.
So there it is. We went over a little bit this week. We're right at just over an hour and a half. So we're going to go ahead and shut it down real quick. But if anything we say or do helps you get that average place in your league, that means we did our job. Because if you finish average, that means you didn't finish last. So we hope you guys have a good fantasy week out there. And we'll try to get back to you this week with the DFS podcast on Thursday or Friday for anybody interested in that. Other than that, we will be back next week as we look back on the carnage that will become potentially week 8.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys later.
Later.
Holla.